Okay, another video. Same thing as usual, really just me talking over my process and how I got to where it ended up, and any other techniques I can teach you along the way. Again, any subscribers, new subscribers, comments, likes, I appreciate them all. Thank you very much. And my social medias and portfolios are in the bottom left corner. Yeah, this one, the sketch started out as a experiment to try and I was trying to emulate what a camera does with exposure. So you can either have an image that's like underexposed, or somewhere in the middle would be perfect, but then you can also get it overexposed as well, and you can accommodate for either the light in the scene or the darkness. And I don't think I succeeded really, but I tried to accommodate for the darkness, really try to make the light areas really overexposed and not a lot of definition going on. And in the darker areas, try to get it really the opposite of that, really a lot of detail. The gamut range of values in the darker area should be a lot more. It should be a lot more clearer as well. I think I achieved it a little bit. There was definite distinction between the two areas, but I could have pushed it a lot further than I ended up really. So the sketch was there, yeah, the black and white values were in. I'd done a little bit of value grouping with the trees and things like that, just getting the major planes visible, and then chucked a bunch of chucked a bunch of colour on there. I think so at the moment I'm just using a multiply layer on each of so I separated them between foreground, background, and there was no real mid-ground here. I just wanted that extreme separation, as I mentioned before. But I'm using a multiply layer and like a lightening layer on each of those layers on top of them, so they just kind of affect all of the colours underneath, and just trying to blotch in some shadows, see where the lighting's coming from. I wanted it coming from the right side, just illuminating most of the field down below, but kind of casting a shadow on most of the back mountains over on that left side. Just getting like real light exposure. Also playing with the light in the foreground as well. It looked a little too dark, there wasn't much to play with, and maybe that's the point, maybe that is the point of the underexposed image. But naturally I just started to paint and put light in there so you can see a little bit more, so it draws your eye to the farmer carrying his cargo up the mountain. So it kind of pulled away from the original idea, but the image overall in the end I'm kind of happy with. It's got a lot of detail, it's got a lot going on, especially for my my average pieces. Yeah, and if I maybe played around with the values at an earlier stage for the mountains and the lighter past, maybe I could have pushed it further in the end. But I think I was too happy with how the image looked at this stage to really change any of the broader strokes. Like I quite liked how the colours of the what are they, like grass fields, wheat fields, corn, and the mountains, and the kind of the way the shadow of the mountains is bouncing around and where the light is coming from, and the shapes and the forms that are created over there. I quite like that too much to change it. So I think I might have screwed up there, but overall the image as it stands compositionally, it's nice. The shapes are working. I got some sort of leading line going from perhaps the main character looking down over to the flat plains on the ground, and you know, that's looking okay. It's looking fine. In the end, I do put a house in the distance, just slightly above the head of the main character there. Just so you have this kind of kind of inverse C shape, kind of like an L shape, leading line, so you get all of the kind of hotter areas in the piece are really illuminated, because the sky is quite blue, the shadows are very blue. There's not a lot going on in terms of warmth, which is what I try to capture. It's these sort of European, Switzerland-esque mountain landscapes. Maybe I should have had a bit of snow at the top of the mountains. I think that might have helped as well, but yeah, I didn't think of that. I would be quite happy to finish the piece here and have it shows it's got everything it needs, really. The image at the moment, all of the major values in the form is in there, everything I wanted to give the message, the colour. If you blur your eyes, it's the same image as what you get at the end. So it really is about deciding what I wanted the piece to be at the moment. I think whenever I paint or sketch on Procreate, it's kind of a it could be just a sketch, it could be just a practice piece, or any sort of visual development piece that, you know, a throwaway sketch and illustration. But whenever I'm on Photoshop, I tend to want to go further with it. I tend to want to push it to a portfolio level finish, perhaps a like a cover art finish, something that could be full screen HD level of detail. So I tend to push that a little bit further. And I think I decided to do that with this one just because I haven't had a portfolio piece in a while, something new, something detailed to show anyone, really. So I wanted to push this one a little further. It's difficult with render to understand when you're done as well, because a lot of my pieces, being a visual development artist, I don't tend to over render any of my pieces, especially when I'm hand painting everything. It can take a while. I'm looking for time saving techniques here and there with brushes and things like that, but I think depending on the piece, depending on the style and the direction, of course, you gotta sometimes there aren't any time saving techniques that you can use, but I try to find them here and there, like just expression, a little bit of light with a brushstroke here and there, and that does 90% of the work. If you have the image up alongside this video, you can see that the trees, the cedar trees in the background, all of them really, the entire forest is rendered enough for me. I think I just used 3 values, maybe pushed the shapes a little bit more dynamically than they are, but overall they're not that different from where they are now in the image. And I think you really just have to decide what's best for you, really, because I quite liked the really simplistic rounded off shapes here, but this is just me going in with brush and detail. You can see it's kind of pushing pixels around, just creating noise and interest and shape and texture. But other than that, like I said, the image was done, well, a couple of minutes ago, really, on this video. It was done at maybe the 4-minute mark, and we're on double that now, at least. So yes, it's down to what you want the image to be, really. I decided to make this a portfolio piece, so I was pushing the render level, and you can keep going on that until you feel satisfied that it's done. You know, how long is a piece of string, kind of thing. Starting to play a little bit with ambient soft brushes now, I think. So having the bounce light come up from behind the carriage and having that illuminate the back of the carriage just for some interest there. You got ambient what's it called, fog distancing. So you want that skylight to be to push the values between the background and the foreground even further. Like, I think when you start an image, stuff can look good, but these really post-processing effects, these really detailed ambient finishes and Rostran-esque color dodge effects can really add to the image quite significantly. And at the moment I'm just flicking between black and white just to check my values again, and I think I pushed the background even further away, even though it's a nice mid-ground value at the moment. Like, a lot of the values are kind of in and around the 30, 40, maybe 50% lightness, and I just pushed that a little bit more to maybe 70, 80, 85, just to get it really, just to really push it further away again. I want to really illustrate the depth, and that goes with the composition as well. So that I realized that most of my pieces have this low eyeline perspective, and you don't get a lot of terrain in that. You get a lot of sky, and you get a lot of what I call like big silhouette shapes that are like cutting into the atmosphere and cutting into the sky backdrop. But you don't get a lot of terrain, a lot of top-down detail, which I don't have a lot of that in my pieces. So I just wanted to get some of that in, really. And it was difficult to get this sketch correct, I think, because I'm not used to it. I'm just simply not used to the perspective. So it was difficult to get the farm looking right, and the kind of distance then with the mountains still piercing the sky, because it's this European thing where the mountains really high and kind of cutting in, and everything's blue and nice and Swiss. Just keep going in and adding detail now. That's all it is, really. It's quite a long piece, and that's all the render is. It's just detailing, just understanding the materials and how the light would affect it more directly. The more you add of this, the more realistic and convincing the image gets. Really, it's nothing new. I do want to kind of point out, maybe to remember that whenever light is bouncing quite significantly on a grass plane, or a lot of planes, a lot of reflective areas, you will get a lot of bounce light. So as you notice on the trees in the background, maybe the bottom of them tends to be lighter or a lot brighter than the top, and whether they're in direct cast shadow or not, but most of the time you will find that just because if there is light hitting the bottom, they will be illuminated from the bottom, and then that light disperses the further up, the higher the tree gets, the further that mitigates. But yeah, that's about it, I think. I'm fairly happy with the image overall. There was a few things I could have changed. There was a few depth things and perspective, and like I said, the camera exposure was the main reason for the image, but it turned into a fairly okay portfolio piece. A lot of detail in there. Clients like to see detail. They tend not to be able to understand when something's finished or when something's not finished, and I think you know that's to be expected unless you're experienced in this field, I guess. But yeah, don't forget to like and snag that subscribe button. I'll catch you next time. Bye.